right, well, last week we introduced a new series called Convince Me, where Studio 5's core contributors share the principles that mean the most to them. Well, Studio 5 Health Contributor Miki Eberhardt is up next. Miki, thanks for being here. You look so beautiful.
Thank you. I'm excited to be here.
Okay, you are narrowing down. Well, I'll say this. It was a little tough to narrow down your 5 core beliefs. You've got quite a few core beliefs.
Yes, and I think, you know, in like brain dumping everything, I'm like, okay, the umbrella points, the beliefs are here, and I could probably put a few littles under them.
Bullet points under each one.
But it's a good exercise.
Okay, so we've got 5 of them I want to get into here.
Okay.
The first one, healthy bodies. Let's talk about healthy bodies, shape, size, what your core belief is.
Healthy bodies come in all shapes and sizes. And Shara, as somebody who for the past 7 years has screened thousands of bodies for my work, where I've screened for metabolic risk for chronic disease, so blood pressure, cholesterol, glucose, waist circumference, things like that, I can affirmatively say healthy bodies come in all shapes and sizes, and also unhealthy bodies come in all shapes and sizes. And so it's important to not tie small body equals healthy. And instead think more about those health promoting habits. Am I getting in nourishing food and joyful movement on a regular basis? My sleep, my hydration, connection with others. Those are so much more helpful than restricting and punishing our bodies to become a shrinking smaller size.
We're getting away from that thought of looking at someone just blankly and saying that's healthy. We were programmed as young girls to think that whoever was on the magazine, that was it.
That's what we're supposed to do.
We're getting away from that.
Yes.
Okay, your second point here. What do we want to talk about? Listen and honor.
Yes, number 2 is to listen and honor what your body tells you. And I think this is so important because so often we ignore what our body tells us and we put our trust in somebody else, that somebody else or a different plan or program knows better about our body than we do.
What's a good example?
So a good example of like when you feel like you should eat, right? Like if someone else is doing intermittent fasting and they love it and it works great for them and you're starving at 9 in the morning, but you're like, oh, I gotta wait till 11 to eat.
Right.
Okay, that's gonna have other repercussions from not eating and listening to what your body's telling you. So what works great for somebody else may not work at all for you, and that's okay. We need to be able, I love the word honor because it's this trust. Like we need to be able to listen to what our body is saying, trusting that it's okay to honor it.
What do you think about other nutritionists not having that same outlook when it comes to trying to find what fits for you in that category?
I would always just say, what's the motivation behind it? Because if someone's selling something, if someone's selling a program, a product, and this is what works, and you should do this, and this is what you should do.
Just because it worked for them?
Yes, and before and afters, and look at all these people. To me, it's the motive is there rather than what is for you and your overall health is what's most important.
I love that core thought there. Okay, permission.
Yes.
Give yourself permission.
Yeah, number 3, give yourself permission to eat all kinds of food.
Okay.
And what happens here, there's kind of a few different things. When you give yourself permission to eat all kinds of food, you don't have rules. You don't have rules with restrictions that are set up. Because what happens when we have rules?
We want to break them.
Human nature is we will break them, right?
Everything gets very tempting at that moment when you say, I'm not going to do that.
Yeah, of course we're going to do it. And so then that invites guilt, right? I broke a rule. Now I feel guilty about it. What's wrong with me? Why can't I stick to these things that I'm supposed to do? But if you give yourself permission to eat all kinds of foods, you're in charge. You get to decide. And if I want to have it on a Tuesday, fine. There's not a rule that I can only have it on this day at this time within these numbers. What happens then is it allows me to really listen and honor those cues that my body's telling me. If I'm satisfied, I can walk away because I could have more tomorrow or next week or whatever it may be. It's not, this is the only time that I'm allowed to have this.
I am not going to feel guilty for eating chips and salsa. Dang it. Okay.
No, unless you stole the chips.
Unless I stole the chips. All right, way too many. Changing bodies. Our bodies change.
Yes. Number 4, our bodies are meant to change. And this is something I would love to shout from the rooftops and make sure it's ingrained in our young women from the time they're little until they grow up. Because especially for women, we have puberty and motherhood and hormones and menopause and all of these things. And even if we do the same thing that we have always done, our bodies will still change. And so if we can revert back to number 1, healthy bodies come in all shapes and sizes, that we don't have to shrink and punish if our body changes. Instead, we can celebrate it. Great, those pants don't fit anymore. let's find some that do fit, because guess what? You're normal. Our bodies are meant to change.
I've had to tell myself that going into my 40s, like,
yes,
I'm not the same person I was in my 20s. That's okay.
And you think about how our minds shift and change and grow and develop over all these years that we live. Our bodies are allowed the same grace.
I love that core principle. Okay, number 5 here.
Yes.
Food.
Yes, food can be fuel. It can be functional. But don't forget the fun.
It can be fun.
Yes, and we think, so like sometimes it is like I just have to grab something and get by, right? Or I eat the same thing every day because it's easy, I like it, until I don't anymore, right? There's all these things. But if we are so strict in what we have that we avoid fun, whether that's I'm not going to participate in that social thing. I'm going to bring my own thing to grandma, my own food to grandma's this. Like, if we get so tight in a box that we lose the fun of food, that actually is a little red flag that that's not healthy anymore.
Okay, but what if we have too much fun?
Okay, right, there is a balance, right? So there's like
Guilty.
a foundation of things that we want to have. We want to have good timing and quantity and variety and all these things. But fun is a part, because fun provides satisfaction and fun is tied to memories, right? And so like we have memories of traditions and celebrations, and there's food involved. Nobody has a great memory of like restricting and counting and did that food fit within my plan. And so it's finding that balance with allowing the food part of celebrating and fun and a new thing we're gonna try, and having that balance while incorporating it still with good, nourishing food overall.
Oh, I love all of these. I feel like I need to live by each one of these every single day. Okay, Miki, where do we get more wonderful wisdom from you?
So I'm on Instagram at Nutrition by Miki.
Love it.
Find me
Thank you
there.
so much. Great core principles to have.